Hey YouTube, just wanted to talk about the various forms of signaling, specifically though if you were to use your voice versus a whistle and a whistle versus a signal mirror. So in terms of your voice, the voice doesn't travel as far as you may think it does. According to most calculations and people who have studied this, you get an average of around 590 feet of open cleared space of projection for a person to, actually audibly understand and hear a human person project their voice at the loudest that they can. With that being said, though, in the woods, though, even if you're screaming, you're not going to have maybe at the very most, maybe, less than 1/20th of a mile at best, but most likely even less than that. So what you have is the more dense your areas are, the more that it's going to dampen the sound and absorb it. In terms of the Guinness World Records, under the most optimum conditions of open space, this is not in the woods by any means, for whistling, someone who whistled, this is not an actual whistle device, but just whistling with their own mouth, and I'm not sure with their fingers or whatnot, but believe it or not, 5 miles is the record. So they may have had something to do with a canyon, or maybe there was an echo that was involved, but there was an actual 5 mile projection, for whistling. So that's the record. Now, even more incredible, over still water. I don't know if this was over a lake, or I'm sure this must have been over a calm lake or something. A 10.5 mile whistle was heard. That's amazing, over still water though. So I guess because the water, there's less things on the water, and it's just a more of an acoustical enhancer. And it does say that it was under the most optimum conditions that this was possible. So whatever that means. The loudest voice on record is 124 decibels, which is very, very loud. Probably a lot more than the average person. Considering the average person, when they're speaking at normal voices, between 65 and 70 decibels. The next thing I like to talk about is about the distances when you're using an actual whistle. Of course, there's different kinds of whistles, but let's just kind of use a standard safety whistle. In the woods, you might be lucky to get about 1/4 of a mile in the woods itself, just because of all the trees. That would be pretty much the limitations there. And in an open area, though, maybe over water or down a canyon, you can get up to 1/2 mile and maybe up to a mile over water. That's really pushing it for most whistles. Unless you had a very, very high quality whistle, like a storm whistle or the upper lines of the Fox 40 whistles, most likely you're not going to get a mile. I wouldn't bet much more than over a 1/2 mile from most. Of course, you have ambient noises in the area that could dampen and make it harder to hear a whistle. But under the most optimum conditions, though, most whistles don't breach that 1 mile range. And just to compare that, though, to signal mirrors, depending on the size of your signal mirror and what your signal mirror is made up of, you can have a 20 to 30 mile range. Of course, the more surface area, the better it's focused, and especially if it's using some kind of very super clear material, maybe even like a glass material, so there's actually even a higher ratio of light reflected back off of the sun to the rescue target. I believe that that's going to give you a better odds of functionality and usefulness. So these are just some thoughts and different data points for distances, for voice, whistles, records for that, and just comparison with the signal mirror. And these are just things to put into the back of your mind to help you put together a kit that is going to be optimal for potential rescue if that needed to be something that had to be, carried through. Thanks again for listening.